Hi, babes. Welcome back to the Chase Life with Kelly podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Chase. Today's guest is, I would say, one of my dream guests. I have written her name down multiple times since starting this podcast, and I finally, I guess, got the guts to reach out to invite her. I want to say maybe a few years ago, I may have reached out, but it just wasn't good timing. But she's on the podcast, and I'm so excited to introduce her. To give you a little background, it is Lori Harder. If you are familiar with the book A Tribe Called Bliss, she wrote that years ago. But that was when she wrote the book is kind of when I was entering her sphere. And anyways, she is just an incredible human. You'll get to hear her story in just a few minutes, but she is a powerhouse entrepreneur who has built three separate seven-figure businesses. She's the founder and CEO of Gloci, a beauty and wellness brand, and the host of Earn Your Happy, a top podcast with over 65 million downloads. As a best-selling author and transformational speaker, she's spoken to audiences of 10,000 plus and coached thousands through her events, courses, and memberships. Alongside her husband, Chris Harder, she runs high-level masterminds for entrepreneurs. Her brand and podcast are where Yes Dreams come to figure it out, the place where entrepreneurs meet the messy middle, find mentors, and get the answers they need to go all in. Let's welcome to the show, Mrs. Lori Harder. How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's wild how I have been, in 3 degrees of separation with you. I feel like for 7 years, just knowing. Yeah. Well, so I want to say through Kayla Craft and Angie Lee, I mentored under both of them. And so I always knew of your name, and I probably started following you back then, when you had wrote A Tribe Called Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was the first time I probably was really introduced to you and started, consuming you and your husband's content. Chris is I pick up so much money mindset. I've listened to some of his episodes as well. And I just love you guys' energy and more or less you guys, well, you can talk about it, but your little walks that you go on, and you're to keep your relationship strong. And I don't know if y'all are still doing that, but I just really love that. And yeah, I'm very inspired by you guys, as a power couple, but also just individually as powerhouses. So it's been great.
Thank you so much. Yes, we are still taking our walks daily. We did ours this morning. We did our ritual, which is the Power Nine that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's 3 things we're grateful for, 3 things we're excited about, and 3 things we're manifesting. And then we will do our evening walk. I know that seems crazy to a lot of people, but it's that thing that we attribute a lot of our success to, those 2 connection points. So yeah, even today I'm oh God, could I call the dog walker to maybe come tonight? That we use sometimes when we're in a jam, but I know I need it. So
Yeah. I love that. I love that. No, I think it's great. I put my walks on my calendar, and do they get done? Not so much sometimes, but
when you have 2 big dogs, you're forced to, because
that's true.
I don't get to have a life if I don't take them for a walk, because they're psychotic, and one is 2 years old. So it's a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Isn't the one's named Bananas or
Bananas and Bonkers.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah,
cute.
I will name my next dogs Zen and Calm, because I think it manifests. So there you go.
That's amazing. Okay, so I would love for you to give just a background of who you are, for my listeners that may not be familiar with you. And if you have anything, any challenges that you went through. I like to get vulnerable with my audience, and my guests, and just share what you've gone through. How are you who you are today, basically?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll take you way back, because there's so many things in our childhood that when we really look at it, it shapes so much of what we do now, whether we're achievers, whether we're afraid to achieve, whether we're afraid of success, whatever that is. So it's always fun to go back and look at that, and hopefully we all get the therapy we need.
Yeah, right.
But with that said, I'm from a really small town in Upper Michigan. And most people don't even know that there's an upper portion to Michigan. So very, very, very small. About, I would say about 4 hours from anything that really looked like a city. It's more built out now, but being in a small town is already isolating. So then you take the fact that I was raised in a more restrictive religion. I was raised Jehovah's Witness,
Oh,
where
wow.
we weren't allowed to associate with anyone outside of the congregation. So you take a small town, you make it so that you can only talk to these people in your congregation for the most part. We had approximately 114 people in our congregation, and it creates a very small circle of what you learn about growing up, and I was in that until I was in the religion until I was 18, but in that particular congregation until I was 16. And I went to public school through middle school, but I started getting really terrible panic attacks and anxiety attacks, which I feel like I've figured out where those have come from. We'll talk about in a minute. So then I was homeschooled through high school, which was what most of the kids in the congregation were doing because being in school was like too much of a bad influence was like what was thought about in my congregation. So when you take those two ideas, you really only have a very small portion of who you have in your life and what you believe is possible, especially when you're told that, college is not necessarily a good thing and that you should just dedicate your life to the Bible. Now, this is totally for some people. I believe this can be their path. This is great. But for me, I had completely different feelings and emotions growing up. I knew that there was something big. I didn't even know what that looked like. Coming from a very small town, the only access I really had to the outside world outside of my congregation was TV. And I was like, am I supposed to be a performer or a singer? Like, I just knew that I wanted to make people feel the way that I felt when I watched like the Olympics, when I watched gymnasts, when I watched people on stage. It was like one of the only times in my life where I felt a lot of life, just like, oh my gosh, I want to feel that way. And so when I was 18 years old, I ended up moving out. Now my family's still in the religion, still love them. We've worked through a lot of stuff. But
Mhm.
when you're making that choice to move out and leave, it's a big, big decision because you are not just like leaving a religion. You are leaving everyone that you have ever known growing up with no outside friends. Like,
Wow.
I did not have friends outside of this. So it was like, okay, I was just talking about this on my walk with my husband Chris, and at 14 years old, I had gotten into some trouble, kissed a boy, smoked a cigarette, and I got marked something in my congregation that is like marked bad influence. And so I remember at that age being marked as a bad influence as an announcement in front of the congregation, like with no other announcements around it, like Lori Wagner has been marked, bad association. I remember my life changed at that point because I felt like um it was a lot of attention from everyone that you grew up with, and to have them not know what you did, and also from that point on view you as someone that is bad. And I think that that was a big turning point for me, where all of a sudden I started having terrible panic attacks and anxiety attacks whenever there was attention on me. Because I think having that much attention, around
Yeah.
114 people looking at you like you are now wearing the scarlet letter, and just
Mm.
guessing what you did, and then kind of stopping talking to you after that point and seeing you through a different lens, and not letting their kids hang out with you anymore outside of not being able to hang out with anyone else. That was a really big turning point in my life at the age of 14, that I think everything that I have done in my life has been around those emotions that happen. So while, yes, I'm talking about it like it was traumatic, it's also been the best thing that's ever happened to me because it's my life's work. And when I say it's my life's work, the moments that came out of that were um, really learning to understand that when somebody wants to do something different than the way that they were raised, the pattern that they were in, what they see around them, the only things that they think are possible, that I now understand what you have to do for yourself and how to support yourself and how to get through those times. Because it doesn't matter if you're leaving a religion or you're starting a new business, it's all the exact same emotion that I went through. All of a sudden, there is a target on you that is different. And you have to figure out how to move through the world and support yourself and find your new tribe. That's what my book was all about, is what happens when you have this realization that you have a different dream than what matches your current reality and the current beliefs of all of the people who you have in your life. And
Yeah.
so this became my entire, life's work without kind of realizing that those were the exact moments that it came from. So from that, when I was 18, when I left, I wish I could tell you that, oh, I started all these things and did all these great things. No, I did the very opposite. I was like when a spring is held tight and you let it go and you bounce
Yeah.
around for a while. And I, was drinking, partying, drugging, sexing, all of the things for a while until my soul reminded me and kept trying to wake me up. And, the way that your soul tries to wake you up is you typically get hit on the head by a 2x4 over and over and over again by life's lessons. And I was one of those people, I don't know if you were, that I had to learn the hard way multiple times. And thank God for that little voice that we have, that I know everybody who's tuned into this podcast and listens to you, Kelly. I know that they are listening for the reason, because that voice, as much as they go back to their bad habits or go back to their friend groups who don't believe in them, like it's still there
Yeah.
because they have a really big call. And so that voice just continued to make me as uncomfortable as possible. And, while in our lives we're like, oh my God, why is this so hard? Why am I so uncomfortable? Why is this person so terrible? Why? Those are all little mini wake up calls of, because this isn't it. This isn't exactly how it's supposed to look. This isn't your purpose. This isn't the spot you're supposed to be in. Like, these little steps forward, and even just listening to this podcast right now is one of those steps of like the awakening to what you're supposed to be doing or the next move in the right direction. So for me, that really happened in my 20s when I got back to fitness, because growing up, my family was really overweight. And we were always, went on my first diet at 8 years old, and we were either always on a diet or trying new workout plans. My sister was 4 years older than me, and she did all of these workout VHS tapes. Like I remember Cindy Crawford had one that we would always do.
Yeah. Jane Fonda.
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember that my anxiety and panic attacks were better when I was working out. So when I was in my 20s and I started to feel like my life was spiraling again, I was like, what do I do? Where do I go? And I found myself kind of just talking to God and working out. And that was like one of the first big steps back into, okay, my life is spiraling out of control. What's the first step to that? And it was like, get back to the gym. And so
Yeah.
got back to the gym for a while and really started to realize that I wanted to help other people with their transformation in fitness, not only because, we all want to look and feel our best, but because working out and movement was like always like my connection back to my gut, my soul, God, all of the things. So that's really where my career in health and fitness started to take off. And from there, I mean, I could go on and on about the career in health and fitness and what a big, deal that was for me, but that really was my very first dabbling into entrepreneurship, starting my own gym after working at an LA Fitness for $6 per 30-minute session. And then from that, I really, working with all these women that get cracked open after health and wellness, like
Yeah.
they realize that they want to start something, do something, make a movement, make money, do a business. And that really got me into wanting to help women make money.
I love that. But I feel like I'm like listening, like seeing myself in you right now too.
Mm.
Because
Love when that happens.
yes, yeah. I mean, I feel like a very similar journey in the sense of like, I mean, I was a personal trainer at one point and like taught spin classes, that kind of thing. I had actually gained, I mean, I was raised very like holistic wellness. Like my parents were very like not anti, but like just reduce the amount of prescription medication in the household. Let's put it that way. And, food is
Yeah.
my medicine. But so I was raised very much healthy. But, shit happened to me in college. I had a trauma in college happen.
Mm.
And after that, I think just unconsciously, I was just on autopilot. And although I was working out and doing the things, I then got into a relationship, and this was like 12 years ago, but I got into a relationship and I didn't realize how much I was like losing myself, or maybe I didn't even know myself before getting into that relationship, really.
Yeah.
So when he broke up with me, I spiraled. And like it was interesting because I probably saw people like yourself and I was like, oh, like I had a good figure, but him and I had always talked about maybe I would be good at doing like bikini competitions and things like
Mm.
that. And so instead of hiring a coach, I just decided to like Google everything and really wrecked my body
Oh
and
no. Hmm.
bones. I lost some weight, which wasn't the plan. I was just trying to like shred up, right? But then I gained like 35 pounds.
Mm.
And for someone who's 5'2", 5 pounds is a lot, but 35
Yeah,
is.
totally.
So, but no, it was interesting what you were saying about like how just the feeling that you wanted to give back to the women. And that was it. It started with like, I got health coaching certified. I started personal training because as I was going through my journey, I was like, oh my God, okay, there's something to this. And I really, I was working in corporate America and I was like, okay, I've never heard anyone tell me that I'm changing their life in my corporate America job. So let's lean in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. But like even now, what you said too about just that feeling, like I do runway modeling now. I just started last year and it's that magnetic feeling. Like I feel so alive when I'm on that runway.
Mm.
I'm like, that's what I want to give back. I'm not going to sit here and necessarily coach people to become runway models, but it's that feeling that I get
Yep, totally.
helping them. And that's my transition. I think over the last six months is like, I want to start talking more about business strategy and money mindset and really helping them like crack that other side of them open. Because
Mm.
we can health our way around everything. We can work out, but it's like, okay, what's the next level that needs to be elevated and expanded? And it's just,
Totally. I
it
love that you're
cracks you
doing
open.
that.
I love
It
it.
does.
It's so great. So did you have with you said that, you guys had worked things through your family. What did you have like ever a interesting, weird, detached relationship with God and religion after you separated from that
Yeah,
community?
I had an interesting detached relationship with everyone.
Yeah.
Um, I really went like a few years without talking to my parents, maybe like once a year for maybe the first or in second year. And I remember, them calling and me not picking up because I was living a double life. I was like, I can't tell them what I'm doing because then I'll never be able to talk to them again. And it was too hard for me to lie about everything at that point. And with God, I literally remember being in the church because when you're a witness, you are like you go to church 3 times a week. So it's 3 times a week for two of them are 2 hours, one is 1 hour, and then you're also going out and you're door knocking
Wow.
during that week as well. So I just remember being inside of the walls of our congregation, and I was like, I don't feel God here. Like I feel scared here. And meaning just fearful. Like and I'm not even knocking the religion, literally. It was, I don't find God inside of something. Like when I
Mm.
am outside walking, when I am watching a sunset, when I am on a beautiful mountain and I sit down and I pray and I meditate, when I am in my zone of genius, when I'm having the most epic business conversation with a woman who realizes that she has massive potential to support her family, when, I'm on a podcast like this talking about how can we like what does it look like for you specifically. So I have no doubt that people feel God within walls of churches and congregations. I have no doubt at all, and I have no doubt that that is a lot of people's purposes, but I want to open it up to let people know that that's not the only way when you are looking for something, when you're looking for reconnection. Sometimes it's found in the craziest places. Like I have had multiple times on a surfboard where I just start weeping because I feel God so present in my life, and maybe I hadn't felt it for a long time.
Mm.
And I'll have moments where I'll say the weirdest things to myself. I know everybody on here talks to themselves, so it's not that weird.
Yeah.
But it's like I'll just be in something where maybe I'm like, I decide to take ballroom dancing lessons again, or like I said, on a surfboard. And I have this moment, I literally remember saying to myself, like, there you are, but also to God, like, there you are. Like when you
Mm.
find yourself again, it's simultaneously finding God because we're one, we're attached. We are literally just an extension of that energy. So I really feel like if you are feeling disconnected or lost, you have to explore it. You have to get curious. You have to say, what did I love to do when I was a little kid? Like, what is it that lit me up when I watch people do it? What is, maybe that jealousy that I'm feeling about that girl is simply because that is literally where I need to go to reconnect to everything. And it's reminding me of that. And I think that if you can just like keep that in the forefront of your mind, the more connected we can be, the more everything's going to be in flow.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. I love that. That's great. Yeah, I find God in nature all the time. That's my
Same.
favorite. Like that's what I'm like
Favorite.
I intentionally put go for a walk on my calendar. Like I know that's like and even the days where I'm like I don't know if I don't want to, it kind of has that mentality, but then I'm out there and I'm like okay, I'm here. And then I'll go for like an hour and a half walk. Like it's not like 10 minutes. I'm like just perusing the neighborhood.
I like force myself because otherwise I just get like funky and crusty throughout the day. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, sitting on your laptop, you guys, is just going to turn you into like a weirdo who doesn't want to do anything and starts looking at everything negatively.
Yeah,
So that's
true.
why at the end of the day, like that's maybe one of my most important walks, or I can kind of get this weird, like, it's like a funk that I can't shake off. And it's a bit of like a weird undertone about people and life. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is weird. Like you need to go outside and walk and pray and look at people and see the good in them and say your gratitudes. And on our evening walk, we like to do 3 wins of the day. And you don't have to do this on a walk. This is great for around the table with your family. Just like and some people do like roses and thorns, I think it's called. But it's like
Mhm.
you're just what were 3 wins that you had today, even on your worst day? It's the best table
Yeah,
conversation that you can have.
I love that. Absolutely. I mean, it's connecting. I mean, that's what we're
Mhm.
supposed to do is connect with each other. So,
Totally.
what is something that you like as you've evolved, like maybe something else, like that you've had to unlearn?
Hmm. What is something that I've had to unlearn?
Maybe in the
Everything.
last few years.
Um, that it just does not matter what what people think of you, and the people who really like matter in your life are they're never going to think anything bad, and they're probably always going to tell you. And to like be the person who gets their needs met. Like we have to really meet our own needs. And I think that growing up, it was always like, you know, people should there was this undertone of like, people should just know how to treat you. They should always treat you well. Um, and I don't think that that's the truth at all. I think that in our relationships, especially with women and with our partners, like, friendships and partners, I think that we have to really speak up for our needs. I think we need to communicate. I think we're all walking around carrying a bunch of traumas that none of us know about. And so it's like the way that we show up in relationships and the way that we show up in life is like so dependent upon how we grew up, and we can't blame other people for not knowing exactly what we need. And also, if you want to have and create anything in this life, you really have to go out and get it and ask for it. And I feel like that was viewed, I've very Midwest upbringing, and it was kind of like if you were if you would talk about yourself or what you did, or you would say anything you were up to, it was very braggy. It was like, oh, that's annoying, that's braggy. If you had money, if you were showy, all the things. And now that has had to be something I massively unlearn because what I
Yeah.
do now, a lot of people buy into what I'm doing because they want to see the lifestyle. And that's been a big challenge for me is how do I like humbly but clearly show the lifestyle that I've been able to create for myself because
Right.
of what I do. And if anything, I'm actually fairly bad at it. I wish I did it more.
Yeah. I'm same.
Yeah. Because like that's what we look at, right? Like if I'm gonna go get a business coach, I'm honestly gonna go look at your lifestyle. Like, is this true? Was she able to create a life she loves? Does she have a great relationship with her partner? Like, what's going on in her world? Like, is this a life that I would want to wake up in tomorrow? And I think that that's important.
Absolutely. I agree with you. What about, okay, so do you have any parts of your life, like your personal life, that you try to protect and you don't really reveal, you don't talk about? I know you're probably an open book with a lot of things just because you've been doing this for so long, but
Mhm.
is there anything that you really protect?
Um, I protect things in the moment that are not ready yet. So I share so much stuff, but there's absolutely things like there's stuff with my family that I do not share and never will because it doesn't even the religious stuff is hard for me to share, to be honest, because my family's still in it and I really, really want to respect them. But that's a tough one for me to, that's a tough story for me to leave out because it's where everything I do started. So I've learned how to tell that in what I hope is a respectful way. But with different things in my life, if I'm going through them, I don't share them until they're complete and I don't have big emotion around it. So
Mhm.
I try to only share things that feel really neutral that I can talk about without a memory where I can feel myself like almost wanting to change your opinion or ideas about something. Um, so I try to wait for that. I can still share on a podcast that I'm going through something and I can say in regards, I can sort of say what it's about, but I'm
Right.
not going to dig into it for people if it's not, healed. But I do think that if you're a public figure, you're not going to be able to hide everything like when you're going through it. So you have to kind of learn this art of how do you share without giving too many details.
I love that. Yeah, I have a tendency to maybe overshare sometimes. So,
I mean, sometimes if we don't have, especially in the beginning too, and if we don't have our places fully set up of like maybe like really deep friendship circles where we feel like we can bring that,
right.
sometimes we can use our audiences on accident, because it just
Yeah.
feels like therapy. Like my podcast, I can be like, oh shit, this isn't therapy necessarily for me while I'm in it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That probably is why. I don't know. But it's interesting because I will share something very vulnerably. And of course, like all my friends are like, Kelly, like, what's going on? Or I'm like crying on my Instagram story or
Yeah.
something. Freaks everybody out. I'm like, guys, I'm fine. We're just happy. We're
That's
okay.
what I do. It's fine.
It's okay. But yeah, I mean, it's just been interesting. But yeah, that's probably a part of it is maybe it just feels maybe a part of it's like safe, although like anyone and everybody can see my stuff on social media, but maybe if I'm sitting, I don't know, it's like, yeah, it's an interesting
Yeah,
thing.
I think it
Oh,
can feel connected too to get, you know, people saying back to you they see you. So I think that it can feel like immediate connection without, I honestly, now that I have like, I've worked really hard to get a close friend circle that I'll text stuff into.
mhm.
But if I didn't have that, I feel like I probably shared more with my audience before that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand. Okay, one more question. Okay, you've had like massive success around community driven brands, I feel
Mhm.
like. What would you say is like the secret ingredient for that?
Oh my goodness. I like always learning how you best connect with your community. Like what feels easy for you because you're not going to show up all the time on something that feels hard.
Mhm.
And you're not going to show up all the time if it feels like such an obstacle that you have to get over just to connect with your audience. So, there was a while back when my audience was really growing, like when I really grew Facebook and when I really grew Instagram. And it was I believe when Facebook first came out with the live series, it was also a time where it was like Instagram and Facebook were kind of like Facebook was still relevant. This was
Yeah.
before, right? A
Yep.
lot of people were still on Facebook, but we were starting our Instagrams.
Yep.
And I remember at that time, like photo shoots started to become really popular, like really curating all of your stuff. And I was like, that is so not me at the time. Like, I love that. And I'm a real cashy girl. Like, I
Right.
did not like I get ready so much more now, it's not even funny. And I just make myself do it. But I was like, I'm not showing up. If I don't figure out how to show up for my audience, I'm like not showing up for that. Like I wasn't showing up anywhere. And it was
Right.
making me feel terrible because I desperately wanted to like connect with people. It's what I do, it's my purpose. And I think figuring out where you best connect can feel like the most painful barrier of entry to get into your purpose right now.
Mhm.
So I had this realization of, okay, what am I waiting for to show up? And it was, well, I'm waiting to be ready and I'm waiting for the perfect time. And I was like, well, those two scenarios will never happen because it's so rare that I do. And on the days where I do get ready, by the time I'm ready, I don't feel like talking and my soul is like out of it.
Right.
So I was like, what could I do? It's like, okay, in the morning, I always want to like share something. I have my best thoughts. I'm doing my personal development. I just did my, 15 minutes of reading and I'm super like excited for the day. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do a Facebook Live every morning. I'm going to commit to it every day for a year. Yes, this is my personality, you guys. And I don't like beat myself up if I miss a day, but I'm absolutely like, I was like, that's it. In order for me to break through, like when I know there's a level to break through and I'm really sick of my bullshit, like I literally am like, you have to do something big. If you look at my life, you'll see I'm like, okay, fitness competition. Okay, ballroom dance competition. Okay, I'm gonna speak on a huge stage. Like I
Wow.
have to do something big to force myself to get to the next level, or me
Mm.
just kind of changing has never worked for me ever. So, and I'm literally in things like that right now. So, with that said, I said I'm going to do Facebook Live every single day in my bathrobe with no makeup on while I drink coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
I totally did that. And it was game changing for me. Like it grew my audience. I was selling out an event that I was doing. I was like connecting every single day. I felt so aligned. And then when that experiment was done, I felt pretty good. Like I was very consistent and I didn't need to do it anymore. And I believe I was starting my podcast not long after that. So
That's incredible. Again, resonating so hard. I did a live this morning with my hair was still wet. I had just gotten out of the
oh,
shower. And
good.
it's so funny because I don't know how girls do this, but they like talk and put their makeup on when they're doing the live. I can't. I'm like, my mascara's in my hand for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, guys, I'm never going to get ready for work. Like, I gotta
I
go.
did the
Okay,
same thing. I was
bye.
like, this would be so great because I love this.
Yeah.
And I tried it like, I think I did it like 4 or 5 times in a row. And I'm like, I'm never getting ready. So,
Yeah, I'm never getting That's exactly it. I was like, I gotta go.
I know, I just started talking with like one eye done. So
Yeah. No, I love that. That really did just resonate and speak to me because I feel, it's probably the whole thing of that's where I feel a lot of like resistance is because I'm
same.
like, okay, everything has to be like so freaking curated and perfect and aesthetic. And I was the same way. Like I get ready more now than I ever have in my entire life. I mean, I was the girl that only wore like eyeshadow and mascara. I never had like foundation, like nothing. Like I just wasn't. I didn't care. I didn't feel it.
Yep.
I would just post things, I would always just I would get on my Instagram story whenever I felt like it. And now it's like, oh, well, like the engagement's higher. Like if you let your story expire after 24 hours and all
Mhm.
these little like algorithm things. And I'm just like, it's making me feel like I like suppressing myself. Like I
Totally.
absolutely hate it. So I love that. And yeah, I mean, doing a live this morning for 15 minutes just felt so good. It just felt.
See, it feels good. It feels good when you show up, no matter what it looks like. So we can't forget that. Like, even if the content bombs, even if you guys go to my page, there's things up with like 1,000 views, and then there's things up with hundreds of thousands of views. Like, I'm not taking stuff down unless I absolutely despise it. But for the most part, I leave everything up because I'm like, it all is. It all exists at the same time. Like, you have to
Mm.
have the 1,000 to get to the hundreds of thousands. Like, you literally have to try everything. And it feels good to get out there and be doing the work. That's what people forget is they like don't want to do the work, except the action feels really, really good. Like it's
Yeah.
really fulfilling. Your head hits the pillow at night and you're like, okay, even though it's not there yet, or even though that one bombed, I still did it. It still feels better than not doing it. And just remember, everyone's content is bombing right now. Like, not just right now, meaning like everyone's content bombs now and then, like, no matter what. And just like the algorithm's changing now, we're doing carousels again. Like,
I know,
we're
right?
doing as well. Like, we're all in the exact same boat. So you literally have to just not care. Like, you have to develop that backbone. And it's important to do it now. Use social media to do it now, because when you start that dream business, you will have to ask more than you've ever asked in your entire life. Like, let me just tell you about raising money and asking for money from people that you admire. It's like, it's literally like I feel like I'm out there with a cup, like, please, sir, like, hundreds of times, like, and getting rejected, you guys. It's
Yeah.
so vital. You need to, like, I talk about this all the time. We need rejection therapy, and social media is really great at it. So
Yeah.
the more that you can let it be okay that you suck on social, the better you're going to get in everything, and the better
Mm.
you're going to get on social.
I love that. That's beautiful. Love that. End it there, but tell people about your Gloci brand real quick.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was in health and wellness, then I was in personal development. I've done events. I did network marketing where, sold products for
Mhm.
literally, I think we're at, is this year 15? But we've made over $18 million in network marketing. And I just love, love, love products. And because products can change your life. And for me, the network marketing company that I was in, having some different supplements and shakes when I needed them, and also being able to recommend them to my clients was game changing for me and for them. And so I've always been obsessed with products. Like, I'm such a consumer. I'm the girl who, like, I could just go when I have extra time and like walk through the aisles of like a really good grocery store, and or like a Target, and I want to read everything and see what's new on the shelves, and like, what have we improved since X, Y, and Z. Like, I love it because there's so much innovation in products, you guys, that things are getting better. So Gloci was born out of a need that I had to want an easier supplementation routine and a better hydration stick. And also, I've always known that your skin comes from the inside out, like, especially so in the fitness world, they would train us that because you had to be on stage all the time. I've been in so many magazines and on so many different magazine covers that you learn how to prep for everything, kind of from the women before you. They're like, okay, you got to be tan, you got to look like this, you got to be like this, but the tan's not going to go on your skin well if you don't take care of it. So you need to eat X, Y, and Z because your skin needs to look really great. And so I've always known about the prep for amazing skin before a shoot, but also having it all the time. So I was like, these women who think it's all topical, like, they're not ever going to get the skin that they want, because you literally have to be eating certain things, taking certain things, and drinking a certain amount of water. And
Mhm.
so I created a company called Gloci that is a skin routine that you can drink, and it is for skin and gut. And there's so many new incredible studies coming out talking about how, if you want to treat your skin and have the best skin of your life, and if you're having skin problems, that you need to heal your gut. And so we use a clinically studied probiotic. We also have hyaluronic acid in there, which is incredible for holding water underneath your skin. It gives you that very dewy, plump, beautiful looking skin that people are after. So people have heard of hyaluronic acid for on your face, but our bodies actually naturally make hyaluronic acid, but you lose a lot of it in your 30s. And so supplementing with it is huge, because when you wash that hyaluronic acid off your face, it's no longer working. So you're only spot treating, and when you wash it off, it's not working. Taking oral hyaluronic acid is not only for your face, but it's for your body, and it never stops working. So you take it every single day, you're going to get those same beautiful effects that you're looking for. We have vitamin C. We have really bioavailable magnesium, which is incredible. Zinc. We have coconut water powder. We have sea salt. So all of these things are studied and looked at for the skin as well. Not to mention, like, wellness and being able to replace some of your supplements, which is freaking awesome. But it's just massive benefits for your skin that you're going to see I would say people really start noticing on day 30, but if you want a real skin transformation, they're finding it's about 90 days because you're really starting to work with your gut.
I love that. I love that. If people are already taking like a probiotic, things like that, gut supplements, would you add it too? And then like, can you
You
take them
can
both?
add it,
Can you
or
take them
some of
all
them.
at the same time?
Yeah, most likely you can take them all at the same time. You literally, it just depending on what type of strain that you're taking, because different strains do different things.
Right.
But most of them can be, obviously ask your doctor, but most of them could be taken together. And you might be able to supplement as well, because it just depends on how many, CFUs or what you're taking at the time. But we have the studied amount of probiotic for your skin, and what they do on the clinically studied amount is available in our product in one single serving, which is awesome because you guys, little trick for you. Go and look at the serving size of some of your supplements. Like there are brands out there who you think that one is enough, one stick is enough, and it says 3 servings is suggested for the day. And I was like, oh my God, this is like $200 a month for like what
Right.
they recommend. So we wanted to try to make your life easier, and you can get the benefits in one serving. I do 2 to 3 a day just because it's my company and I'm obsessed and I love speeding things up. But we did put we did put enough for you to get the benefits in one single stick a day.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, I'm excited. I got a box on the way, so I'm excited to,
Yay! Oh my God, you have to keep me posted. Truly.
yeah, I will.
Try to do 30 days in a row, or if
Okay.
you're crazy like me, do 2 sticks a day for 15 days, let me know.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and speed it up myself.
It's like I feel less bloated and I feel lighter because it's really that probiotic is really great for digestion as well. And I sleep so good, especially when I take it in the evening, just because our magnesium rocks too.
I love that. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely report back.
Okay.
We'll tell everyone where they can find you.
Okay. Well, I am everywhere at Lori Harder, LoriHarder.com. It's Lori Harder on Instagram. And then Earn Your Happy is my podcast. I've been doing that for a while and obsessed with it. And then Gloci is at getgloci.com. Okay. And if you want to try Gloci, we have 15% off for your people, your listeners on your podcast. And it's Kelly 15. And you can go to getgloci.com. And I would love, love, love to hear what you think.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I loved our chat today. Thank you for being here and amazing.
Me too. Thank you so much. I loved being on your show, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Lori.
Bye.
Bye.